As America prepares to celebrate its 250th anniversary next year, the Trump administration is also making big plans for how that history is remembered. NBC News confirming the White House is planning a sweeping review of the nation's premier museum system to ensure that the Smithsonian's exhibitions, online content, and other materials align with the president's, quote, directive to celebrate American exceptionalism, to remove divisive or partisan narratives, and restore confidence in our shared cultural institutions. Joining us now is Julian Zelizer, professor of history and public affairs at Princeton University. Julian, for people who haven't been to the Smithsonian or haven't been in a while, can you talk about the role and how important it is in terms of educating people in this country and why this move is so concerning to historians like yourself?
It's extremely important. It's the main point of contact for many Americans to seeing exhibits with artifacts from the past that try to put those in some kind of context. It's an institution that has connected historians in the academy who work on these issues through research with the displays that tourists see when they come to Washington. So it's not an area we want political interference. It's an area we want genuine historical conversations to take place. So it's very troubling to see the president try to assert his vision of history over what historians have been working on.
The White House letter to the Smithsonian includes a long list of things that museums have to review to, quote, remove divisive or partisan narratives. Are there any specific kinds of exhibits you're personally worried about losing?
I'm very worried about exhibits, for example, on civil rights and the history of race relations, which have been targeted often when this is the issue. Those are not disparaging the United States. They are the United States. They're part of our history, and we need to reckon with them. There's also been controversies over how to have displays about war. There was famously a controversy in the 90s over the Enola Gay and how you treat the dropping of the atomic bomb on Japan. So those are the kinds of exhibits I'm very concerned will either be removed altogether, these kinds of issues, or they'll be actually skewed in a way that fits what the president believes should be displayed rather, again, than what the history shows.
And on the other hand, the president signed this executive order, one of many early in his second administration, this one aiming to restore free speech and end censorship. But then in recent months, we've seen the government take down certain websites and language about everything from COVID to climate change, fights over free speech on college campuses. There's been LGBTQ language scrubbed from national monuments. What's the direction we're headed in?
Well, it's a dangerous direction. What the administration is doing, from the Smithsonian to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, is putting pressure on institutions that provide independent expertise on all kinds of subjects. And it's a mechanism, when you do this, of control. So I think it's a broader story. I think it's a way in which the administration wants to control the narrative of what's happening or what's happened in the past. And this is something now that's being done very systematically. It's not about social media commentary by the president. It's actually putting immense financial pressure or having firings done on these critical institutions that give us all a common base to evaluate what politicians left and right do or don't do.
Julian Zelizer, thank you for raising our awareness, for shining light on the importance of all of these institutions and helping us cover this current moment. We appreciate you.
All right. Hey, you Jakes out there, man. It is a time of Jacob's trouble. And there's one more thing that I've also been noticing, right, is that there's a lot of there's been a lot of advertisement, right, commercials about Amalek, right, and how they are brave and how they are the victims and how they are being discriminated against, and so on and so forth. And if you had any doubt, if you still have any doubt as to what America can look like for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you gotta, renew your mind, right? This shows you, right? What this man does is proof that this whole reality, right? This whole fantasy in your head that America will always be to your benefit is what is it's what it is. It's a fantasy, and it's high time for you to wake up out of sleep. That's what the scripture says. The book of Psalms, the 72nd chapter, 73rd chapter, right, describes the wicked, and the wicked is Esau. So what does the scripture say about him, right? It says they are corrupt and they speak wickedly concerning oppression, right? They speak loftily. In other words, they speak proudly, right? Let me double check that real quick. Yep, proudly. And so you have to be a really proud man to think that the history is something that you can decide what it is and what it isn't. Okay, so like in the previous video that I made, southern kingdoms are next. The scripture talks about it. When the Lord shall begin to deliver us, there's going to be a time called Jacob's trouble. In the very last days, there is going to be a time of Jacob's trouble, right? Don't let these camps out here lie to you and tell you there is no Jacob's trouble. Don't let them lie to you and tell you Jacob's trouble was slavery. No. The scripture says, when I shall begin to deliver you, when I shall begin to turn away your captivity, right? Jeremiah the 30th chapter, when I will bring again, in other words, turn back the captivity of my people, Israel and Judah. So when he's going to deliver the nation of Israel together, he's going to bring what? Jacob's trouble, right? So how would that make sense if the beginning of our captivity is Jacob's trouble? No, it has to be the end of our captivity. We see the northern kingdom already getting a preview of it, which really what they're going through ain't even that Jacob's trouble. That's just like I said, a preview. That's just a taste of it. But already they feel as though they are losing a grip on their kingdom, and they are blaming Jake, right? They are blaming you for what? For being victims. They're blaming you for not giving them what? For not giving them a peace of mind, and always proclaiming their wickedness. They're blaming you, right, for all the crimes. They're blaming only your crimes. The nation of Israel. They're blaming only the nation of the nation of Israel's crimes in Babylon. They don't blame the other Edomites' crimes. Okay. They don't blame the madness that goes on. Even though they're actually more. There's some statistics that shows that more Edomites commit crimes than Jake. They will say, well, we don't look at it that way. Let's look at a percentage according to population. So they are furious. Okay, there's a reason the scripture says that the Lord shall put us into captivity against a nation that hateth us. Okay, so you Jakes out there that are trying to save Esau, that think that this land that you're in is better than the kingdom of heaven, and that you don't need to hear of any preaching of the kingdom of heaven, you are an idiot, right? You're a fool. And your foolishness will be corrected through what? Through death by pain. That is why it's best to get on the side of the Most High right now. For the longest we've been warning you who these people really are, especially those in power. We've been warning you. The most benevolent leaders in history they were all just doing things in the background, and now you meet someone who doesn't care about being surreptitious. He just does things overtly. And then you just know it, and however you're going to react, he really doesn't care. And if you react, what does he do? He sends troops into your neighborhoods. We are living in dangerous times, man. This was meant to be a very short video. I just wanted to play that video and, show that we are in dangerous times, and that Jacob's trouble began with the northern kingdom. Now is what is creeping up towards the southern kingdom as well. So they're getting rid of any kind of empathy they had for the southern kingdom. The scripture says that they shall seek to please the poor. But now that phase is over, right? They are sick and tired of trying to be politically correct. And they are gunning for you. All right? And the scripture says, then shall you know that a prophet has been among you. I hope this is edifying. In closing, I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Racha, Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.